Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Push with Nick and KP. I'm KP, Nick is here in attendance with me once more, because today we're going to be going through our NXT recap from last night. That's Tuesday the 6th of May, obviously from Orlando, the PC. Let's get down to the action, let's break down everything that happened throughout the course of the show. So, we would begin with a 3 vs 3 tag team match, which would see TNA champion Joe Hendry teaming up with NXT tag team champions Hank and Tank. They would take on the team of Dark State, and this all stemmed from last week, a little bit of interaction between Dark State and Hank and Tank. Joe Hendry was there to sort of like aid them and just like, back them up, I suppose, from a verbal stance, and that would lead them into this contest here and now. Yeah, kind of a fun way to kickstart the show, to be fair. Thought Hank and Tank showed their just general sort of consistent, fun, energetic side of themselves, which is sort of, what we're getting used to rapidly now, to be fair. Dark State looked pretty much standard as well, to be fair, what you'd expect from them. Quite dominant, powerful, aggressive, all that kind of stuff. Dark State getting the win in the end, I think, was pretty much expected here. Purely not because of the fact that they were up against the tag team champions and Joe Hendry, but more so the fact that Joe Hendry's had this big thing with Trick Williams recently. So Trick would come on down to the ring just before the closing segments of the matchup, and he would start to brawl with Joe Hendry. That would sort of remove him from the contest, essentially, and that would leave Hank and Tank for a 3-on-2 or 4-on-2, if you want to count the member of Dark State who's at ringside, as a disadvantage there. So, yeah, the numbers game came into play for Dark State once more, which is what they've been utilizing ever since they've arrived. And they would defeat Hank and Tank as well as Joe Hendry, technically, as well. But yeah, Trick Williams and Joe Hendry continuing their rivalry and, their feud, building that one up another notch on an extra level. And Hank and Tank, yeah, taking the first pinfall, the first loss that they've had since winning the NXT Tag Team Championships. So possibly Dark State maybe inserting themselves into a position where they can challenge for those tag team titles soon. I guess, when you pin the tag team champions, that's pretty much expected. So I guess we'll see what happens going forward. But that's my take from this one. Decent enough start to the show, quite fun, as I mentioned. And yeah, no real surprise that Dark State won, considering the situation between Joe Hendry and Trick Williams. The following contest would be Zarya going one-on-one with Kalani Jordan. This opportunity for Zarya to get into the winning column herself. Obviously, her tag team partner, Sol Ruka, she's been very, very good recently, picking up the Women's Speed Championship, that on X, and as well as the Women's North American Championship recently at Stand and Deliver. So Zarya, yeah, she would use this opportunity to defeat Kalani Jordan. And this match was going quite well, to be fair. I quite enjoyed it for the most part. It got to a point in the matchup where there was a little bit of a strange interaction between Kalani Jordan and Sol Ruka at ringside. Not really sure what that was all about. And then a little bit later on, Zarya would actually end up spearing Kalani Jordan through the barricade at ringside. That was set up for Zarya to take control in the ring and put Kalani away moments after that. There's a lot of interesting and, strange moments surrounding mostly Sol Ruka really here recently. I'm not sure what the angle is they're going for. I'm still trying to work it out myself. I'm not trying to jump the gun or, trying to figure things out too quickly. But it is a bit of a head scratcher. So as to where they're going with this, I have no idea, but we'll have to wait and see going forward for sure. But Zarya with a win, something that she's been needing for a little while, to be fair. And against someone like Kalani Jordan, that's always a good thing to have for sure, to be fair. But yeah, interesting dynamic here. The next match then would be a number one contenders battle royal to determine who would be the NXT Champions number one contender. So we would have people from NXT, obviously. We'd also have members of the TNA locker room in this one, Evolve, and LFG as well. So, people from all over the shop, really, under the WWE banner / TNA banner. Surprisingly, we would have Elijah. Some might know him as Elias in his recent WWE run. But Elijah from TNA, he would come on down to the ring and make a surprise return to WWE, competing in a match here on NXT. That would be right as the match is about to start. And that would basically just fuel the fire for what would be an extremely entertaining and very, very good battle royal. Absolutely loved this matchup. When I was watching it, I was just really, really enjoying it. Couldn't take my eyes off of it. I thought that the storytelling throughout the contest was really, really great. I thought the interactions in the ring were good, throwbacks and this, that, and the other. Some of the eliminations and the segments leading to those eliminations were really, really good too. Especially when we got down to like the final four, final six, final four, that sort of area. Thought they really sort of like had those people shine in those situations. But yeah, there were some guys who really stood out in this one, and one of which obviously being the winner himself, that'll be Miles Bourne. Quite a surprise winner here, to be fair. I think maybe looking back at the hints and like sort of like story building over the last couple of weeks, maybe Miles Bourne, it did look like he was going somewhere and having a push, perhaps, but I didn't expect it to be this soon and this quick. So, yeah, big congrats to Miles Bourne on the victory here. It was a very impressive showing from him. I thought he did a great job. He's really come into his own recently, and yeah, he just continues to keep shining. But what a match this was. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought I had a lot of fun with it. We had Trick Williams being in there at one point as well, and he would brawl with Joe Hendry. That would lead him to get eliminated. So yeah, it's one of those just crazy just matches that had so many things going on. Like it was great though. I really, really thoroughly enjoyed this one. Nick, what did you make of the start of NXT? That tag team match, 3 versus 3. Sol Ruka present for Zaria's victory against Kalani Jordan, and then that battle royal. How surprising was that with Miles Bourne winning, and what did you make of the contest as a whole?
Yeah, I thought Dark State winning here, I think, is the obvious choice, simply, especially after Joe Hendry gets eliminated by Trick. Clearly, that rivalry is far from over, and a little more on that going forward. Um, but yeah, Dark State obviously needs to win that there. Just another notch on their belts, getting a win over the tag team champions, I think would probably put them in some sort of conversation whenever that opportunity arises soon. I think that's probably a good idea. I don't necessarily know that I wanted to see Dark State take a title from them. Um, but I think eventually, if they are going to be taken seriously, they probably do. Or maybe they're going to play the angle that they just don't really care about titles. I think that this is one of those rare instances where that could work too. But yeah, Dark State looking good here. Obviously, the story was more so about Trick and Joe Hendry and their rivalry continuing. The Kalani Jordan and Zarya match was pretty good as well. Pretty hard hitting too, especially for Kalani. Obviously, that's more up Zarya's alley. But yeah, both took some pretty good bumps here, and in particular, the spear through the barricade was a great spot. But much like you, I don't really know. I almost get the feeling from Soul that maybe she's becoming more, I don't want to say full of herself, but I kind of feel like that's where it is going. So maybe Soul ends up turning heel somehow. Um, but yeah, I think inevitably, I think what most people will probably see coming is them going for the same title, them being Soul and Zarya. But yeah, it was a good win for Zarya, and I think commentators said that she's never lost a singles match, and so obviously this continues that streak. But yeah, no slouch in Kalani Jordan getting the victory over her. That's a big statement for her. And Battle Royal, yeah, I don't have a ton to add that you didn't already hit on, but yeah, so this was a ton of fun. It felt like everyone in there had a reason for being there, and lots of stories being told. And then you have your Elijah in there as well, which was a cool moment. The guys from LFG, Evolve, TNA, yeah, there's tons of things going on, and yeah, a surprise victory for Miles Bourne. I could not have called that if I wanted to. It felt like it was probably going to be Javon or Ethan Page. Felt like the obvious options, but good for WWE and or NXT and going with someone different. The match should be interesting. It appears it's going to be more about NQCC and their faction probably, but I don't obviously think Miles Bourne has a chance in hell to to beat Oba, but something different. So I can't complain too much about that.
Yeah, it's nice to see somebody different up in that stratosphere, really, because I think recently it's been sort of like the same number of guys. I think it was very obvious, Trick Williams was a centerpiece in this matchup, so I think it was maybe too obvious that he was going to win. So I'm quite glad they did go with somebody else in the end. And Miles Bourne is a surprise, so it's cool. Let's see how he gets on. Like you said, probably no chance against Oba Femi, but We'll see how he does. This could be quite interesting. Okay, so let's move on then for the rest of the show. Next up, we would have a one-on-one match between Jada Parker and Carmen Petrovic. This would basically be off the back of an interaction earlier on where I think it was Carmen and Tia Hale in the locker room. Jada Parker would come on in. There'd be that little interaction between the three women, and they'd get up in each other's faces. Jada Parker would initiate a challenge to Carmen Petrovic, and basically she had no choice but to accept it. So, one-on-one match between these two women. Yeah, it was fine. It was good enough, to be honest. I thought that Jada Parker continues to show why she's in the position that she is, to be fair, and has been recently. And she had a pretty good showing against Carmen Petrovic, who did decently well herself. A little bit of a sort of like a moment with Carmen Petrovic where she was sort of like rolling, she was taking advantage, maybe setting up for a victory for herself, and then sort of like got lost of like what to do next. Maybe throwing a little bit of shade back to Ashante the Adonis being recently in her corner, and maybe giving her advice of how to end a match and whatnot and how to take advantage. But she seemed to sort of like just suddenly stop. That allowed a window for Jada Parker to take advantage, and eventually got the win in a couple of moments later. But Jada Parker would attack Carmen afterwards before Tia Hale would come on down to make the save and actually sacrifice herself to stop another hypnotic. So it's quite interesting, the sudden relationship between Carmen and Tia Hale. Whether that's going towards a tag team or something going down the line, I'm not too sure. But regardless of that, Jada Parker looks as strong as always, and another consistent showing from her. The matchup after that would be our main event. We're already at the main event, and that would be Jordan Grace going one-on-one with Julia for a chance to be the number one contender for the NXT Women's Championship. This was a great match. It was brilliant. Both women absolutely left it all in that ring. Thought this could have quite easily been like a PLE match, to be fair, between the two. And there's a reason why these two are at the top of the NXT Women's division, or around the top anyway, with Stephanie Vaquer being the absolute top of it. But yeah, Julia, I thought that she took some very, very big spots here in this matchup, very big bumps from Jordan Grace. It was a quite physical battle for a large part of it, but Julia showed a lot of heart, showed a lot of guts, kept getting back up to her feet. Jordan Grace kept slamming her down in the late stages anyway. For the majority, it was very, very even and back and forth between both women. But Julia showed some real struggles towards the end of the contest, and Jordan Grace eventually took advantage of that and would plant her down to get the 1-2-3. But it was a great match between both women. Jordan Grace winning sets up a match we haven't seen before: Jordan versus Stephanie Vaquer for the NXT Women's Championship. Obviously, we've seen Julia versus Steph. That's how Steph won the title in the first place. So I guess really this is a fresh matchup that we're going to be seeing, which I'm all for. I'm absolutely, definitely 100% interested in that one. The women's division is such a it has its depths, and I think this is another part of that depth for sure. So yeah, excited for this matchup. Looking forward to seeing how it goes down. Stephanie versus Jordan Grace. I'm definitely keen for that one. But Nick, what did you make of these two women's matches? Firstly, Jada Parker and Carmen Petrovic, and the sudden relationship between Tia Hale being involved in that, and then how about that main event? It was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I guess I feel like Carmen's in this weird spot. Kind of in between a bunch of stuff. And so I guess if Tia Hale is there to, they're there to form a new team, I guess that's good. I don't feel like we have a ton of tag teams now, especially after those releases last week. So it's an interesting tag team, and Carmen and Tia Hale. So I'll wait and see how that goes. But yeah, this Jada I felt like made pretty quick work of Carmen. Yeah, as she was attempting to attack her again, that's when we found out Thea was there. Yeah, honestly it's such a strange point in NXT Women's division, because there's so many there's so many women that just you can't put them all in the main event all the time. So if Thea and Carmen are going to be a team, then I guess Jada would probably need someone on her side. So maybe that's where they're going with this. But yeah, regardless, Jada just feels like she's I don't know, maybe just doesn't belong in this particular bit. But we'll see where they take it from here. And speaking of women in main eventing, Jordan Grace and Julia. Yeah, I put this down. This was probably the best Jordan Grace match I've ever seen. One-on-one match. And the really impressive part here being that no one looked weak. and it took absolutely everything Jordan had to put Julia away. Um, and then yeah, we gave Stephanie Vaquer versus Jordan Grace. I didn't really want them to go down the Julia Vaquer route again. So and I hope my one ask is that Julia maybe stays away and lets them have a match at Battleground. That would be my one ask. But yeah, Vaquer and Jordan Grace should be a great contest. Looking forward to that one. And then yeah, that was NXT. So what felt like a pretty quick show, but I guess you had a pretty good main event and a battle royal. It took up a good amount of time. Um, yeah, lots of focus on the three women's matches as well. So yeah, it was a good match. Just I'll maybe say it was a bit short for my liking, but still give it a 7 out of 10. So nothing too bad there. But yeah, KP, what did you think of NXT overall?
Quite similarly rated, to be fair. I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. I thought that the content was great. I think there wasn't a lot of it, granted, because obviously the battle royal took up a lot of time. But yeah, I think the main event, especially with that battle royal, I thought both those matches were absolutely incredible. Just really, really enjoyable to watch. So you made a great point about maybe being Jordan Grace's best singles match that you've watched, and I think I'd probably have to agree with that one as well. I haven't seen an awful lot of Jordan Grace, to be fair. Only really watched her since coming over to NXT. Yeah, I think she's been a great addition to the roster. So yeah, she just continues to get better and better. As the women do with each other on the roster for NXT. So yeah, she's just basically settling in quite nicely now, which is great to see. But yeah, it was a good episode of NXT. It was fun. Like I say, that battle royal was tremendous. Really did enjoy it, and that main event was great as well. But yeah, definitely some high points for sure, and some moments to book towards Battleground, which is coming up next. So yeah, I'm excited for that one. Obviously, we've got a couple of matches that are starting to make their way onto the card, and we'll get some more going forward soon as well. So with that being said, guys, that's basically everything covered for NXT for this week's recap. Let us know what you thought of this one in the comments, whether you disagree or agree with what we've said, whether you got your own takes on it. We'd love to hear what you're thinking. Also, please hit a like on the video and subscribe to our channel if you're really enjoying our content. We're going to be uploading more and more content as we go forward. Next one is going to be predictions for Backlash coming up very, very soon this week as well. So yeah, lots of content coming up soon. And for now, guys, we'll see you all in the next one. This has been an episode of The Push with Dick and KP, and we'll see you all again soon. Thanks very much, everyone, and goodbye.